So for those of you who haven't heard of us before or attended one of our previous webinars, we are Tribal Worldwide. We are the total experience agency, and what we mean by that is we think beyond established customer experiences and work with brands to really innovate in their customer journeys, whether that be from online to offline or out of home to in-store, as well as all the internal engagement processes and procedures to create ecosystems that build better products, services, communications, and ultimately better businesses. And these events are designed to really help bring together industry leaders from over a diverse range of sectors and companies to provide new points of view and to learn from each other on how we can deliver new, better and more total experiences. This is the latest event in a series called Stronger Than Before, where we'll be speaking with brands and companies who have really kind of capitalised on this year to really innovate and pivot in order to emerge stronger than before this pandemic. This is our 6th event in this series, and today we're going to be discussing the new blended retail experience, something that isn't just a necessity for a lot of businesses now, but is a connected customer experience that's becoming ubiquitous, I think, across all sectors and drives a level of accessibility that customers don't just prefer, but have come to expect. And we're really lucky to be joined by some really exciting panelists today. First of all, we've got Mona Nikzad, who's the digital and e-commerce marketing strategist at Organix. Mona has over 10 years digital marketing experience working with both UK and global brands, and is currently leading and developing the digital and e-commerce strategy for Organix brands, including the launch of their low-cost but highly effective e-commerce site during lockdown. So she brings really valuable insights about the company's shift to sell direct to the consumer and the importance of communication in doing that. And joining her, we have Jim Cregan, co-founder at Jimmy's Iced Coffee. Jimmy's Iced Coffee was born after Jim fell in love with the cold stuff whilst road tripping around Oz. And with a successful 10 years selling in an array of retailers, we're going to hear today how Jimmy's Iced Coffee has really revolutionised how they interact and attract customers, including the launch of another direct-to-consumer online shop with an ever-growing and diverse product range. And joining them, we have our very own David Balko, our Chief Client Officer. David is responsible for the client relationships here at Tribal, including all of the current work with Volkswagen Group and Wren Kitchens, and he has over 20 years experience across digital, above the line, mobile design, you name it. Pretty much David has turned his hand to it over his tenure and has delivered innovative and strategic, compelling, award-winning digital omnichannel solutions in comms for some of the world's biggest brands. So welcome all. I hope that introduction did you all service, and really excited to get cracking today. So first of all, really, I just wanted to sort of turn to each of our panelists to get a bit more of a background to you and your business, and I suppose really what you've been experiencing over this year, leading to this point of yet another lockdown and what that means for you guys. Jim, as you're in front of me, actually, if I come to you first, it'd be great to sort of get a bit more of an introduction to you guys and what you've been up to.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thanks very much for having me. It's really, really cool. So we've been building Jimmy's for 10 years. It's been a monumental mission alongside my sister Sue. She's my business partner, and a very old dude called Steve, who's the dinosaur of the business, but the financial foundation, as we call him, and he's awesome. And we're now a team of, we were 22 as we went into the first lockdown, and sadly we had to make 3 redundancies, so we're a team of 19, all operating, the majority of us working out of a warehouse in Christchurch in Dorset, so we're 5 minutes from the beach, which is a beautiful thing. I had a sea swim this morning, which was very cold, but very, very delightful. So we have a few people out on the road doing compliance work. We've got a few salespeople. We do all of our marketing and our creative in-house, so as you guys are Tribal, we do exactly what you guys do, but we do it all in-house, and we just feel so thankful for that. We've got the space and the warehouse spaces to build amazing sets and designs and signs and bits and pieces. We're very much in the experiential space, so we will attend music festivals and food shows with our big van and rigs and loads of fun stuff, because we really enjoy giving people experiences. You can't just give someone or just tell someone about what we do. We actually need to go and show people who we are and what we do. It's been a bumpy old road for the last few months, but we haven't died. We are all still alive, including the business. which I'm really, really thankful for. And we're just going to see how the rest of the whole thing plays out. On a direct consumer scale, that's been a nice thing to get a grasp on. We've always done a little bit of it, but now there's much more of a market for it. We've really kind of upped our DTC game. So our website's really, really slick, and it's really easy to pay and really easy to subscribe and things like that. So it's been a nice kind of business opening for us. So that's us in a nutshell.
Great stuff. Really look forward to coming back to some of that and finding out a little bit more detail as we go on. I forgot to mention as well, please, everyone on, if it's any questions comes up throughout this conversation, please do submit them to me. We'll try and get any and all questions answered as we go through the chat today. Mona, welcome. And really saying to you, really interested to hear what you've been up to over the course of the year, really, and how this has all impacted you.
Yeah, so very similar to Jim. We are based in Dorset. We're based in Bournemouth. Been going for over 28 years now, and very proud to say we're the UK's #1 baby and toddler snack brand. For us, this whole year's been focused on direct to consumer from a digital perspective. We made it a priority. It's something we've wanted to do in the business for many, many years now, but it just wasn't the right time. And I think we also felt that it was such a scary area to go into, and we didn't necessarily have the skills in-house to do that. But 2020 was the year that we committed to that. So we launched our shop 5 months ago, and it's been our whole focus, really. We didn't expect it to do as well as it's doing, and it's now an integral part of not only the last remaining months of the year, but very much will form our 2021 strategy in how we pay out all of our activities.
Fantastic. And again, really looking forward to hearing a little bit more about that. And David, obviously, you're at the spearhead of our business supporting our clients. And, so you've got a really good broad experience across them. What's been your experience of supporting these brands and their priorities over the course of this year?
I think it's been wonderful on one hand and terrifying on another. Often in equal measure throughout the day at times. I think what I'm really proud of in the team at Tribal this year is how adaptable we've been and how we've kind of had, we've all pulled together for the good of our clients, I guess, but also for the good of ourselves. I think as our clients have, so clients like Volkswagen, who massively rely on a dealer network, have kind of put their head in their hands at times to cope with that downturn. But then also on the other hand, we've got our retail clients in Wren Kitchens, helping them work out how to keep their shops open and keep their showrooms moving. Against a backdrop of actually a world where they're doing quite well. People aren't going on holiday, so they're buying kitchens. So they're in a really different place where they can't make them. They're doing really well. Can't really make them fast enough. So it's been quite interesting how we've adapted to cope with the sort of the opportunity and the challenges that have come over the last year. And I think that's what if you can take positives from it, it's how we've coped and enhanced the lives of our clients and customers that way.
Definitely. And Mona, as someone that kind of launched this owned e-commerce solution kind of really in the middle of all this, obviously you've still got your in-store presence, and there's that sort of tightrope to walk, as it were, to sort of bring some of that direct to consumer capability in house without cutting off those really important revenue streams from the in-store. What's been the sort of lessons that you've learned, and how have you approached that shift as a business to create that balance?
So yeah, I mean, it's something we've obviously very conscious of. We our bread and our butter is through all of the major retailers, and we obviously don't want to upset anybody. I think for us, we were quite lucky in the fact that when we launched, it was in the midst of a pandemic where the retailers were struggling to fulfill orders. They had lack of availability when it came to delivery slots. So actually, we were positioned ourselves as almost a relief to all of the demand that's currently happening out there. We also know that there are so many people that can't get to store, even if they didn't, want to purchase online. So for us, it was about, rather than going into competition with our retailers, it was more about being a strategic partner with them, and helping, for us, making sure that our parents out there who can't get access to in-store or access to delivery slots were still able to purchase our foods. I mean, when you look at how the retailers prioritised deliveries, it was predominantly for over 60s. So our target market of parents, who were typically between 20 and their mid 40s, were not being prioritised at all, and couldn't actually, even if they wanted to, get a delivery slot with Ocado or Tesco or anyone. So they were really relying on brands selling directly or going through Amazon. And so it was extremely important that we offered that service as well. So it's been challenging at times not to prioritise the message across social, to always swipe up to shop and direct to our store. We make sure that we're fair and we promote everybody equally. But the reality is that we know now with this second wave of a lockdown, again, those delivery slots will be really hard to come by. So it's only fair that we try and promote our shop as much as possible to help parents out there.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting to hear how you became a really actually, you almost became a utility for and actually a saviour to people. That's really interesting. And Jim, I know similar to you, when we were talking last, you were explaining a little bit about kind of what you do to make your direct to consumer experience really personal. Tell us a bit more about that as a focus for you as a business, and how that's really important to you. I know you're just on mute, Jim. Sorry. Everyone, sorry about that. Don't worry.
I think because we really like having a personal touch when we're not in lockdown. In normal times, we want to high five people and we want to smile at people, and we want to tell our story to people, and we want to ensure that people get to try our coffee when it's properly ice cold with a perfect serve, etc., etc., etc. And when you're not allowed to do that, and the only thing you really are allowed to do from your own base is direct consumer, then you've got to make sure that what's being sent out to those people is going to smack them around the face in a really, really positive way. So we don't do third-party stuff. We send directly from our warehouse. Another saving grace of working out of a warehouse. We've got plenty of space. I mean, we just got pallets and pallets of stock here that we can send out for sample. So yeah, each box that goes out will have a handwritten note, and then whoever subscribes to our products for a certain period of time will also get like a bonus thing. So there might be a little present from us in there. We might know that they like football, for example, and there's a certain team they might like, so we might chuck in something along those lines, or just do something to make people smile. And it's just really nice that people will then go and tell their buddies about it, and they'll photograph a compliment slip and stick it on Instagram, which people don't tend to do, but it's just nice to put the effort in, because you get so much back from doing something like that. And when it's the only thing we can really do, then that's what we are going to do. And it seems to be working really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, that sort of trend of brands really needing to be authentic and human and really connect with customers has definitely been a sort of red thread that I've seen with a lot of brands we've talked to on these webinar series. And David, I know sort of that consumer behaviour side of things and how customers are engaging with brands is a kind of area that you're really passionate about. And tell us a bit more about kind of those changing consumer behaviours that you've been seeing over this year.
I mean, I think that Jim's absolutely spot on. That the human nature of our business trumps anything. In terms of e-commerce, it trumps the lot. Because you can have a nice slick checkout process and all that, but when you receive a package and it's got something in that's either unexpected or sweet or different, it always wins, because that connection still is there. Because I've had it myself where brands that I'm loyal to have sent me things, and you kind of go, well, someone's taken a bit of time out of their day to just do that tiny little thing, and it just means something. And that to me is the thing, to the red thread to keep following in these times. And we've seen it a lot with Ren, our kitchen client, with Volkswagen as well, and all the Volkswagen brands we look after Seat and Skoda, where, you know, in those times of trying to get a car service when lockdown finished, you know, the dealerships that were saying, well, look, we can come to you, we can leave a car at your house, we can pick up your car for a service, and all of that kind of stuff. They're the things that make that different for customers, and they're the things that will maintain that loyalty over time, where you know, brands are going out of their way to solve a fairly imposed problem in some cases, and continue to trade. And I think that's at the heart of this. That going out of your way to help someone goes a massively long way. You know, in everything, frankly, it's a rule to live by, I guess. And I think that to me is the important part, and how you build that in without being kind of formulaic or a bit twee I think is a challenge. It's kind of being true to your brand, and you know, it's unexpected and interesting and timely and all of those things that we expect, because that makes it different. Otherwise, it's a loyalty campaign from, you know, big, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
And it just doesn't. It's all formulaic, and it doesn't work. And that's the you know, people see that conceit they can see through it. They can see through the machine. I think it's just being human, frankly.
And Mono, you know, Balko's talking about loyalty there, and again, I know that you've been, you know, delivering sort of personalised products, and I know that that's a really big focus for you as well. Before we were just talking about the advent calendars as well this year. Tell us a little bit more about how you're really driving that to kind of really engage your customers as well.
Yeah, so initially, before there was any sign of COVID-19 happening, when we had plans to launch an online shop, it was to offer a personalised experience. So it was to personalise packs and to get pack formats that you can't necessarily get anywhere else. So doing mixed cases, large value packs, and really being able to, you know, create your own Organix box if you wanted to. Obviously, things changed slightly in that we realised that, okay, everything needs to go on there, even the foods that you can get access anywhere, because of obviously what was happening. So for us, personalisation is really, really important. It's something that we'll continue to focus on. We've just launched personalised packs, but we will be going into mixed cases, and people being able to actually just create what they need. We've seen shopping habits really change, particularly with our target audience. They've moved from singles to multi-packs, and now the multi-packs are going into large cases. They do really want to buy in bulk. That's not something that we currently offer with the retailers, doing really large sort of macro size bulk boxes, but now through our own D2C channel we can do that. And the beauty of D2C is it doesn't actually necessarily even need to exist as a pack format right now. We can just assemble and fulfill when we're doing picking and packing, and that really allows us to have more flexibility in terms of being able to just basically react to what we see people are asking for on social or when they email us, but also their shopping habits. We're seeing people constantly buy large quantities of multi-packs. We know that actually that's something that we can just pop together, create a pack shot and put on the website, in terms of large value mixed cases. So it's provided us with great flexibility.
Really interesting. We've had a question submitted here, so it's probably a question for both Jim and Mona. I think it's something we were actually talking about offline before the event, but I had a question around sort of how you're competing on delivery charges when people like Amazon tend to offer free delivery. Is that a case of competing, or is it a case of creating a value exchange that warrants perhaps a more expensive delivery process? How are you tackling that, Mona and Jim?
So for us, yeah, delivery has been it's been painful at times because we know that as a part of certain promotions, we know we need to offer free delivery. We've actually got free delivery over any order over £30. So that's what we currently offer. But we do see that it's the number one reason why people do fall out of the conversion funnel when they get to that last page and they see the delivery charge. So for us, it's something that we're constantly looking at, and we know that it's quite a key promotion for us to run frequently. But just like with any account or retailer, we build it into our promotions plan. But yeah, unfortunately for us right now, there's no way that we can compete with the likes of Amazon and do next day delivery free like Prime. But you don't get that same experience. You know, Jim and Jimmy's Iced Coffee do it perfectly, and would aspire to be able to do D2C like they do. But in terms of that personalized experience and the breadth of products that you can get on our website compared to in store with other retailers, it's just completely different. So we hope that it's worth paying for because of the experience and the customer service that you get.
Anything to add there, Jim, from your perspective as well? Yeah, I mean, typically, if you do buy us from Amazon, you'll be getting it through. It'll be someone who's bought it off us. So the money that we save on the margin, we can put into the postage from our own warehouse. So you are going to make a little bit of a saving whilst being able to send out a personalised pack. So yeah, not really much more on that really, just apart from that saving in margin.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it's something that a lot of people have struggled with, especially even in restaurants and bars that have had to adapt to delivery, etc., and the extra costs that's incurred. So it's an interesting point. Another sort of trend that we've seen from consumers wanting from brands this year is probably unrelated to actually the pandemic, but it's around sustainability and sustainability being really important to people as a buying decision factor. Jim, I know that's something that you push for really heavily within your brand, and sustainability is really important to you. Can you tell us a bit about how you've sort of brought that into your brand and how you communicate that out and how it's a really important part of your product?
Yeah, so we've traditionally been only ever been in cartons, which have a plastic lid, and they're basically the best cartons we can get with the best lids that are made from sugarcane instead of fossil fuels, but it still ends up as a plastic product. It was a few years ago that I was walking along the Jurassic Coast and I came across a lid, and it could have been one of our lids, it could have been someone else's, but I'm happy to put my hand up and say it might have been ours, and that's just terrible. And that really made me think that we're not in business to throw plastic on the beach because it's just a load of poop. So that's why we decided to go into cans. So this is traditionally what you're going to find our product in will be one of these. And then I'm going to do a real flyby screen because you're not actually meant to see this, but that is going to be launching next year. So we'll be 100% like single-use product, plastic free, which would be great. And it's all going to be aluminium, which is obviously infinitely recyclable, which is awesome. And we're also on a bit of a quest to become B Corp, or not a bit of a quest. It's a pretty massive quest, just so that we can tick off basically the whole business practice from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. Has to be the best version that it can possibly be, from how you get to work to how you source your coffee to how we do everything. And it's a really, really cool kind of process that you have to go through. I think it's about 80. You have to pass about 80 steps. And someone like Patagonia Clothing, for example, they've passed 154 steps or something. So they're super high up for their B Corp level, and that's something that we want to do and be proud of, because it's not just about selling iced coffee anymore. It's about doing stuff better. And if we can lead the way in the iced coffee category, then that's great. And it seems to slowly start turning the cogs with buyers at supermarkets, and you see these headlines in the grocer. That supermarkets are trying to reduce their plastic and all these kind of things. And when you actually sit with a buyer now on Zoom or whatever, you've got a can of our stuff and then you've got a cup of a tax dodging iced coffee company. And you go, right, which one's got more plastic? And they go, oh, that one. And you go, yeah, because it's got a plastic lid, it's got a plastic cup, it's got a telescopic straw, which is 2 bits of plastic. Well, hey, in a plastic straw holder, and that's glued to the side. So which one do you think is going to be better for the future? And you can happily ask these questions. And they go, "Oh, your can," and you go, "Okay, so what are you going to do about it?" And they're like, "Oh God!" And you actually finally be able to put buyers on the spot. And they're steering massive ships, and it feels like they're just coming round the corner to a more sustainable horizon. Ting! I'm going to coin that. Love that. That was the worst thing I think I've ever said in my life. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
I think it's really interesting, Jim. Hearing that, it's yeah, and I hope the next conversation is we're going to place a massive order with you, Jimmy. I think that's what you hope that they're saying. But interestingly, I do think it's fascinating. Years and years and years ago, probably nearly 15 years ago, I worked at Fitch Design Consulting and looked after their new business many years ago. And we were presenting to supermarkets then, the sustainable offerings that changed the way their buildings were created, that changed the way people flowed through them, that folks could go and do refilling. You could refill your own cartons, and you could all of that stuff. Finally, I think I've seen Asda have launched one. And you kind of go, I know you're right, they are super tankers and they're moving, but they've got to move faster. It's not good enough. And I think as buyers, just as a customer, the answer is to say no, you're not. You've got to be better. And I think they have to be held to account, because there's a moral obligation, I think, to do this. And as brands and as businesses that help brands, we have to do that, because you can think your way through this. It doesn't have to be at greater expense to the customer. It doesn't have to be with downsides. You put the legwork in. You find those products, as you've clearly done, to be single use but be recyclable, and be in that space. And I think it doesn't always have to be passed on as a cost. And I think we have a moral obligation to do that.
No, interesting. It's such a huge topic as well, and such an important factor for a lot of people considering what to buy. David, I just wanted to circle back to, you mentioned Wren Kitchens before, and that's been a real journey that you've been on and we've been on with Wren. And I know there's a lot to sort of point to, especially over the recent years, kind of the real kind of connected customer journey that's being created with them. And just could you talk through us a little bit that as a case study and how it's really relevant, I think, today?
Well, I think you've heard this more than you need to, Jamie. But I always talk about my mum at this point. My mum doesn't sit around like we do and go, "Oh, the packaging's quite nice," or the journey in the store's quite nice. You say to my mum, "Do you like Volkswagen?" She goes, "No, don't like them." And that's it. We're done. That's gone. We're all over. It's too late. Consumers like it or they don't, or they give very, I've sat in research groups where you say to people, like, I've sat in research, what do you think about toothpaste? And they go, I don't think about toothpaste because I'm a normal human being. I think about it probably in the morning when I brush my teeth, probably in the evening when I brush my teeth, and I'm probably not even thinking about it then, because we don't worry about those things. So I think our job is in those tiny little micro moments where people do give a bit of consideration to a brand, because they don't think about brands like we do. They think about their children, health, education, welfare, that sort of important things. Holidays, occasionally, sort of being better. In those little moments, that's when you kind of want to make a difference. And Wren came to us, and they said, look, we've grown really rapidly. We've got some we think really good products. We're moving in the right direction. Can you redesign our website? That was the first point of why they approached us. They'd seen the journeys and the work that we've done with Volkswagen, and I think and I remember Richard, the client, saying, we want to be the Volkswagen of kitchens. So they found the agency that did Volkswagen's website, which is, again, smart thinking, quite simple. Just go there. So that was good. And then we redesigned their website. And then during the journey, they said, could you have a look at some of our marketing? And it started with advertising, and we also looked at some of their social stuff and so on. But along the way, they were going through a similar change. They'd had some interesting feedback from people like Watchdog, and they weren't being a great company. We kind of said, all the old adages of, you can only convince someone to buy a bad product once, get the service right, improve all those things, put all the stuff in the background that isn't working as well as it should, put that right, because you can build the best ad, build the best website in the world, but piece of bad PR doesn't it's not going to fix anything. So we work with them on those things, and they've made massive changes to their business, the way the infrastructure works, so mistakes don't happen and things, and when they do, they're corrected quickly. To Jim's point about that often if you have a bad experience, or you have an experience that doesn't go as planned, if it's fixed brilliantly, you will walk away with a much better view of that brand, because someone's gone, look, I'm really sorry, don't worry, we'll fix it. And if they really seem to go that human element, it makes a difference. So we worked with them on those on that stuff a bit, and then we worked on good comms. And for us, it was a simple journey. It started by looking at when people buy kitchens, and we call it the Christmas Audit. On the negative side, it's when there's apparently most divorces happen. But on the positive side, because people stand around in kitchens and realize they hate each other. But on the positive side, actually, people use Christmas as that moment to go, well, look, let's have a little kind of state of the nation. And you think, right, what are we going to do next year? Do we need a new kitchen? Do we want to have a holiday? Do you want to buy a new car? Whatever it might be. And there's obviously only a finite amount of those things. And that changed in lockdown. But we kind of used it as a sort of spark for the creativity, and we're into the third year of the third evolution of the campaign with those guys in terms of their above the line. But we've thought of that journey in its entirety, and again, to be brief, I tell a story about winning Wimbledon is easy. You've got to win 7 games in a row. That's all you've got to do, and you win Wimbledon. Simple, but you only get to win Wimbledon if you're in the 7th game. And we said this about cars, we said it about kitchens. Most people kind of go and do a bit of research online, and you've got to put a brilliant experience in place for that. But you've got to get to the final. You've got to be in the last 2 when people are, buying a kitchen or with a car. It's like, well, is it a Golf or a Focus? They've already discounted Alfa Romeo. That's gone. They're done. And that moment, you've got to be in the final. And what we said was, produce comms that get people to go to a showroom, and at that point they'll be immersed in the brand, and we can do a load of stuff on that journey as well, but get them to go to a showroom, because then they're in the final, because they're giving up time to go and really give this some thought. And so we've been working on that whole kind of journey from when people are kind of sat around watching Gogglebox, thinking about laughing, enjoying it, and going, oh, it's an ad break, let's have a quick look online at kitchens. And they do that, and it came from this notion that people spend some time. One piece of research, a lady said, I've spent 20 years planning my kitchen. And we went, blimey, okay, interesting. But she's been sort of all those little threads, they suddenly come together in that final. And if you have a great experience and it works really well, you've won Wimbledon. It's great, you've got a customer. And that for me is what we've done. And it's that moment where we think about all of those elements when people go, no, I don't like Volkswagen. Right, well, we've got to change their mind, and do all those things that can help that. Or actually go, fine, they're gone. We don't need to worry about those. Let's think about the people that do like Volkswagens, or consider them, and focus on that, and improve all those little micro journeys to get you to the final, to mix all those stories together.
Simple. Right?
It's easy. Honestly, it's not.
There you go.
It's really hard.
I could see Jim fist thumping along to what you're saying there, David. No, this is interesting. I think, but I had a question submitted here, and I guess can be to any of the panelists. That I guess feel free to answer this. But there's been a question submitted here around. I'm currently in a place where I'm not selling D2C at all. How do you go from that standing start to being active in that space? What what's the first things you need to do? Perhaps what are the lessons you've learned in doing it? I think you can all kind of probably input to this. I don't know who wants to go first. You've done it more recently. What are the kind of key lessons, I suppose, you've learned there, and what were the first things you needed to do and consider, and how do you continue to develop it?
Yeah, so you've got to figure out whether you can do it in-house or whether you need to partner up with someone. Look at your resources internally, look whether you've got the staff to do picking and packing, whether you've got the storage space to be able to operate a warehouse. The first choice is really the first decision to make is whether you're going to do this on your own and do everything in-house like Jimmy's, or whether you want to do the Organix route, which is partnering up with a fulfillment house to do those for you. In terms of lessons, the biggest lesson I've learned from D2C is that the fact that it's not that expensive and it's not that complicated to go direct to consumer. There might have been, we might have had a really lucky experience, but for us, we managed to launch an online shop for under 10k in under 6 weeks. So it was a relatively cheap and quick process for us. I wish we'd done it years ago. So I would definitely say to anybody who's considering going direct to consumer, it's a lot more simpler. Now there's platforms out there like Shopify that you can just spin up a site so quickly and easily, and it doesn't have to be this big scary project. However, the most important thing is that customer experience. So whilst I'd say the logistics might be easy in terms of spinning up a site and putting product on there and watching the orders come in, what really needs to be considered is that customer journey and that whole experience from them coming onto your website to them receiving their delivery. That's the most important part that you've really got to focus on. Let every other area of the channel, worry about their area, but for anybody that's managing an online store, to really ensure that the consumer journey is at the heart of everything that you're doing when you're doing from design to all the way to how your packaging looks. It's all around the consumer journey.
Fantastic. And Jim, again, your kind of lessons in the journey you've been on this. Anything you'd like to share as well for the audience?
I think Mona's just nailed the whole process, really, from learning whether you can actually do it or not, whether you want to do it in-house or 3PL, and then the journey. And I think the only thing I can add to that is what we did is we just gave everyone in our office codes, like voucher codes for basically free product. So for about a week, even like our friends and family, we just got everyone to go on the journey, to go and pick stuff, put it in their basket, get rid of it, put in a code, get rid of that one, order 4 of those, and just keep going through the whole stop-start, and then just try and figure out at what point it was glitchy. Because the only way you'll do it is by just pretending to shop by yourself in your own store.
Break it. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
absolutely break it, test it to destruction, and then it will be fine.
I love doing that because you kind of go, I got to the checkout, but I don't. I want to use PayPal. We only do Apple Pay. Okay, well let's get PayPal in because so many people like paying with PayPal. And let's not do the 3-step process. Let's just do the buy it right now process. And eventually it just does become quite easy. So and it's free for you to be able to do that because you're the best tester. And get your mum to do it, get your dad to do it, get anyone to do it, give them the code and get them to go through checkout as well. And then also you get your confirmation email. What does that look like? So you do have to do absolutely everything end to end. And then you can be sure that you've done your best in order to get someone to go through and buy stuff.
Definitely. Well, look, we're into the final stretch now. We've sort of covered off a little bit about sort of what was and what you've been doing sort of more recently. So I guess just to sort of bookend that, it'd be really interesting, without giving away too much of the secret sauce or any top secret commercial strategies, although you did just give us a flyby, Jimmy, of something to come. But I think really interesting to hear sort of what, especially now that we're in another lockdown and we don't really know what the next sort of 3 to 6 months holds, have you, where do you see yourself going, Jimmy, over the next 6 to 12 months? Is there anything sort of stand out really that you're focusing on as a business, either whether that be from kind of a consumer behavior in your particular space that you're seeing, emerging, coming through, or just as a business, something you're looking to develop into? Tell us a little bit about, give us a flavour for how you're going to kind of continue to be successful over the next 6 to 12.
I think we're just first and foremost is we just got to make sure our people are happy. The guys who work with us, we just want to make sure that they're not hiding anything in terms of like any emotion about having to be stuck at home or anything like that. We just want to make sure people are, if they're working at home, they need to be physically comfortable, not sat at some crappy chair. They need to be like ergonomically correct, as it were. And the people who are working in the office, to make sure that they're all, doing the right thing. So just to make sure that the welfare of the whole company is looked after first and foremost. And I think everything will follow quite beautifully from there, because if you've got itchy people, it's just not a good thing. Our strapline for our company has and always will be keep your chin up, which is just all about positivity. If you don't keep your chin up when you drink our product, you pour it all over yourself as well, which is not very cool. Just before lockdown, we toured some gigantic keep your chin up letters, these KYCUs, and we took them down to the beach for sunrise. So we're all at the office at 5:45 to load up vans. And it's basically just a message for people to keep their chin up, because times aren't all that great, and this isn't something that we're just jumping into because we felt like it. This is our permanent campaign. It's always and always will be keep your chin up. And it's nice that we can actually be in that space legitimately and actually hear like properly. So we're just going to be pushing more of that. During the first lockdown, we did a few like pub quiz style things where we raised 10 grand for the NHS, which is really fun. And now that we're doing kind of like Christmas merchandise and stuff like that, we're going to run a QVC pretend shopping channel night. So our creative in-house at the moment are doing some like really cheesy graphics and stuff. Hopefully we're going to get away with wearing like some kind of peach dress with a big like pearl necklace and stuff, just to basically just have a bit of fun, really. Sell some product and cross-dress for a night. It's going to be.
I really want to come and watch that.
Me too. Jim, the most important thing about QVC is the QVC ruler. So you need a ruler to measure the dimensions of anything that you're going to sell.
Note taken. Thank you very much. Yeah, so basically, just trying to be things of positivity in all this, because there's so much crap going on. Hopefully, Biden's going to win, which will take away a little bit of the crap. But yeah, we're just downtrodden all day long, and it's our duty to keep people's chin up. And that's what we're going to do for the next 6 to 12, 100%.
Jimmy, I think kind of the personality of your company and everything really comes through in everything you do. I think that's fantastic. And we almost made it 45 minutes without mentioning the presidential election. So
sorry,
it's it had to come up at some point. And Mono, I know without sort of giving too much away, sort of give us a bit of a flavour as to kind of, I guess, what your focus is going to be over the next 6 to 12 as a business, sort of how you're going to continue to really ramp up this own e-commerce solution you guys have, and I guess make it the success we all know it will be.
Yeah, so from a wider business perspective, we're really focusing on innovation, trying to bring new, never done before products to market for the little ones. And from a digital perspective, my focus, of course, is to really try and drive loyalty to our online shop. So making sure that what we've talked about already, that the experience is great enough that you'll come back again, and to eventually build that up and to really create a bigger sense of community. As Jim's just said, it's not a nice world right now. So as much as we can do online to try and bring mums and dads together, try and build a nice place online in a great community, for us is key for digital next year. And hopefully that will ensure that people continue to shop with us and we build a sense of loyalty on the shop. So yeah, loyalty and community is really our prime focus from a digital perspective next year.
And David, I guess, what would be your key takeaways for brands listening to this today, or indeed on recording? Key takeaways that you think any business in this sort of blended retail space needs to be focusing on over the next 6 to 12 to make sure they survive this, quite frankly?
I think simplicity is important. I absolutely echo Jim and Mona's comments, but and certainly around people. I think this year's taught us anything is you don't have to. The rule book can change. It's fine. I've got a meeting on Tuesday with some of my team. We're doing it in the woods. Well, because it's 4 of us and we don't need to go to an office anymore. It's fine. We'll go and have a walk in the woods, and maybe 4 of us will come back. But it's we're really embracing that, and embrace the simplicity and embrace the change is the first thing, and make sure everyone's happy. Absolutely, 100%. We've all realised that mental health is absolute backbone of getting through this, and actually just being better anyway, being a better person. So I think that's important. But then in terms of the trends, I really think it's be simple stuff. Get a shop going. Yeah, use Shopify. Don't. We're embracing this at Tribal in terms of how we work with our clients. Yeah, we could go through a bespoke build process for you, or we could all save ourselves a whole lot of headache and go and get it off the shelf. And actually then spend your time breaking it and making it personal and making it simple and do all that. And that's where the sort of fun comes. So absolutely do that. And I think work with folk that can shortcut stuff. We're finding, again, we're just working differently. Doing little projects with clients that are much, much more kind of really pointy and solve that run thing for us, and then we're done. That's great. We love that. We love all that working in those ways. Of course, we like to build big end-to-end things, but they don't come along very often anymore. And we realise that, and that things are changing. So I think it's get it out there, and if it means that you have to sit there sticking labels on things, well, you have to sit there sticking labels on things. That's what we do, and if they're the businesses that are going to fly, and we've seen that the number of startups. There's nothing like a terrible situation to force someone to go, right, it's time to do something differently, and that's good. There's businesses that thrive in these moments and that invest and grow are the ones that come out a lot stronger. If you kind of bury your head in the sand and carry on forcing your old, perhaps on methods that don't work, it will fail fast.
Well, there we are. Yeah. I think it's obviously a lot for a lot of businesses to do, but I think certainly from my perspective this year, we've seen a massive sprint of innovation and change in a lot of different industries, which quite frankly a lot of it was much needed. And David, I know one of our first webinars way back, months ago, we were talking about how a lot of innovation comes through in wartime, using wartime as an example, and I think there's definitely going to be a lot of positive change continuing to happen. Well, look, we haven't had any more questions submitted, and considering how busy a lot of people are going to be right now, I think we can gift 10 minutes back to everyone. I really hope that there's been some interesting sort of tidbits and some interesting insights that has come out of today. Thank you very much for everyone, as I say, giving up the hour and coming to listen to this. And it will be recorded and put on our website along with all of our other webinars. So please do sort of keep an eye out for that email and navigate through to our site to have a look at any previous webinars that might be of interest to you. And obviously keep an eye out for the upcoming ones. We're going to keep doing this. Next month, we're going to be talking about health and well-being, and how some of the brands that in that space have really been sort of pushing forward, where at a time where they've been really struggling to keep operating, such as Ironman and charities. So that'll be a really interesting chat for December. But listen, I wish everyone the best, and obviously to keep safe, stay well, look after your family and friends. And thank you, really importantly, thank you to our panelists for giving up the time today and giving across some of the insights that they have today. So thanks very much, Mona and Jim and David. And yeah, looking forward to talking again soon.